Hey Ryan, how you doing?
I am doing well, Christopher. I've decided to sit farther back today. But that's probably going to just jack the audio, so maybe I'll sit my normal distance.
You sound fine from where I'm at. So it's just you and me again. After I think we just said it's been 5 episodes in between since it was just you and me. But we're going to talk about some tabletop game news tonight and some games we like and what we're thinking and what we've been ruminating on with board games. And then
with board games, yeah. Okay.
and then we'll get back to some really cool. We have some really cool interviews coming up, as long as everything goes all right. But we were just talking about. You were asking about the Candlekeep Mysteries, which is the next book announced from Wizards of the Coast for D&D. And I don't know if that was your D&D news, but I'm excited about it because it's got some, I think 9, maybe more scenarios that are for um, playing in game, some mysteries and adding that kind of content to players. So it looks really cool. A lot of people are excited about it. I'm excited about it. I pre-ordered it as soon as I could. So, what was your news about D&D?
Well, for Candlekeep, I have heard zero news about this, but one of my things that I like in RPGs is mystery.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things to run when I do run, which is about once every 5 years, besides the game I ran for AJ, is like modern horror, which is really good for mysteries.
Okay. Yeah.
Modern light horror, just kind of like a boogeyman story.
Oh, sure.
It's
R.L. Stein type horror.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more older than that, but yeah, just like I don't know, it's easier to get the party immersed if in like modern settings, and maybe it's because I'm a lazy DM. I saw a meme well, everything's a meme if it's a screenshot in my world. That Wizards of the Coast are doing away with a lot of the racial restrictions in new books, and I thought that was really cool because like alignment and stuff like that never made a lot of sense to me. If I wanted to play like a certain I mean, I never wanted to play a tiefling, but if I wanted to play a tiefling, a long time ago, you're like, oh, you have to be like evil or and all that.
Yeah, or
stuff.
a drow, you're going to be at least neutral at best.
Yeah, like I don't really. If my old DM ever listens to this, I apologize for saying this, but I hate drow because of you. I hate the Underdark. I hate the drow. Just too long. Too long. I would never want to play a drow. I would only want to play a drow if I could just like immediately have my character be. Side tangent, there used to be this thing at Origins and Gen Con like 10 years ago where you could sign up for this dungeon, and the goal was to have your character live the longest, and it was like recorded in the RPGA like records. Okay, and it was this thing, and I always wanted to do it, but I wanted to make a 11th level like commoner class historian that's focused, because you were 11th level, that's focus was like the interaction of magic items, and I wanted to show up to the game and be like, oh, I have finally collected my portable hole in my bag of holding. Is this just a folk tale or does this really happen? And then just like, split open a tear to the astral plane and then die, and then like it'd be recorded. And it was like $2 an event ticket. So anyway, but yeah, that character was going to be a drow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, but if I did that now, it would be a drow because I hate it. Right?
Have you seen Theros that came out last year? It's like the Greek Odyssey one. Source book. I really want to get to the point where I can be in a campaign and be a Tauros that thinks it's good. Not a Taurus, a Minotaur.
Okay, yeah.
A Minotaur that thinks it's good, but is actually chaotic evil. My group that I play with on Saturday nights could attest to the fact that I love playing chaotic characters. I have
Hmm.
a chaotic good character and a chaotic evil character, and they both just randomly do things sometimes. Like I play that through and through. So having a character who thinks it's good and is like bent on doing those things, and also is really strong, stronger than a lot of half orcs and stuff,
Yeah,
but is actually doing evil things all the times because the gods that he serves have twisted his mind. Uh,
I like that. I like that. We just got a text from our DM because I haven't played any D&D games in a while, like
okay.
since Craig Erickson left us on a cliffhanger like 4 or 5 years ago, and then he moved away, and then we never know what happened to our characters. I'm just like constantly left wondering. Sometimes I text him, Craig, can you tell me what happened? But he swears we'll pick it back up.
I mean, right now is the perfect time to pick it back up, right?
He did hit me up to join a online game, and
Mhm.
I don't name drop a lot of people's names, but I don't know, whatever. Exception Craig, he did hit me up, but then my wife was like, "RPGs twice a week? Oh, not so much." Um, but we've been playing Savage Worlds system, the Rift setting, and I'm still playing my giant Pikachu with a giant vibro sword, and I'm like there was but we're in a like Ready Player One setting
Mhm.
set in Rifts, and
Yeah.
we just went to like a Gygax planet, and we're running through like a dungeon, and there's
Yeah.
like areas that my character can't even fit in. But the DM just messaged us, and he was like, "Hey, I need your alignments." And I was like, because we found like this evil sword that talked, and like me personally, I've always wanted like a talking weapon in a game, but
Yeah.
it was like a normal size sword.
Ah.
Well, it was like a normal size great sword, which means it was like a long sword for me, and I would get like minuses to use it. And I was like, "Do you
Ah.
sing?" And the sword's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, I don't really want you."
I
But I
just
was
had
like,
yeah, go ahead.
but yeah. Anyway, alignment wise, my character's like, I was like, chaotic good. I don't know. Like, I don't steal, but like my character just like obliterates things when it hits it, and it really enjoys that. But also like it wants to help people. And they're like, yeah, probably chaotic good.
Yeah, chaotic good for sure.
But now
Yeah.
you could play a Minotaur and have it be chaotic good.
No, thinks it's chaotic good.
Well, true, but I mean,
Yeah.
with the new rules, with the
Right?
new rules
Yeah.
thing, you could pretty much. I don't know. I wonder how they'll do that with like abyssal stuff. But they said that that won't really impact like species and monsters.
Yeah.
So then I guess that would just be going into like homebrew monstrous campaign or
Yeah.
like
Oh,
demon. I mean, anime does it, right?
I mean, but that's the thing though. People have been doing what they want with D&D for years anyways, unless you just had a really bad DM that just didn't let you bend the rules. So, it,
Yeah. I'm excited about the
so
changes. I think they're changing the traits to the
yeah.
attributes, which
Yeah.
is good because I always am like, why is my gnome got to get like -2 charisma? I really like playing
Right.
charismatic gnomes. That's like
Right.
probably my favorite class.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, you're making me think of lots of things, but we'll just have to talk about those later. Let's go ahead and dive into some of the things that we wanted
Yeah,
to talk about for the show.
RPGs are board games, okay?
I mean, RPGs are tabletop games, and that's what we talk about is all things tabletop.
Yeah.
So, um, so I was there's a lot of things I could talk about, but I finally got my copy of Merv, uh,
Okay.
the Heart of the Silk Road, and I'm reading through the rules on that, and the pieces are gorgeous. I really like it. That one's been getting some buzz, and right now the voting is close to concluding on Board Game Geek BGG for the 20 categories for 2021 most anticipated. Holy cow, that was a big list. Have you taken a look at anything from there?
No.
Okay. It's looking like Ankh it is showing strong again. That's the last one in the trilogy, kind of from Eric Lang and Simon Kaman before he left. It's the Egyptian one. Um, I think its strongest showing is in the miniature area, actually. The big surprise for me was Frosthaven, the follow up to Gloomhaven, isn't getting more votes. It's still got a lot of votes, but it wasn't dominating anything, I don't think. Let's see. I'm just going to pull up the list since I was there.
Maybe people just want like new things.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the interesting thing, right? Is like
less miniatures in the game.
How people will go for. Where did it go? I don't know where it went. How people will go for what they perceive to be an underdog, right? If something gets too popular, then people will automatically just not vote for it, or they will downvote it just to try to topple it.
I'm not on BGG that much, and I don't. I think one of the only games I like upvoted was or voted for. I've rated a few. But one of the big ones I actually remember rating was Twilight Struggle.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, there's that silly thing going back and forth of like, most recently with some of Jamie Stegmaier's games, people were voting for them before they came out and before they had seen a prototype or played it on TTS or Tabletopia or anything. They were just like, "Oh, this is going to be awful because it's Jamie," or "It's going to be great because it's Jamie." And so you'd see people with like a 1 or 2, and then people with a 10 or 9.
How come they can't? I mean, maybe that's just like web page management, and I don't understand it. But I really feel like, I don't know, giving something a review that you haven't like. I don't like.
And that's what the admins said is like we try to kind of wait a while before we open up the ability to leave a review for these games. But once the review copies start making it out there, or once they start sending out things like that, we have to open it up. And if we, I mean, they're not all, but most of them, the great majority of the admins are volunteers. And if they had to go in and for every single game check that it was a legit review, it would bog down the system. So I get that.
I mean, it took me like 5 years to create a Board Game Geek account. So
yeah, you're catching up with technology. Yeah.
I made it. I think I made it like early, like 2008 or something.
Okay.
And then like in 2013, I actually finished creating it.
Nice. I think I looked up your profile one time and you're active like once every year and a half or so. Let's see. Darwin's Journey that you and I played is getting some love. The ISS Vanguard. That one is interesting to me, but let me tell you about that game real quick. That one is definitely getting some attention, but they have spent for if you're watching it, how Kickstarters promote themselves, you can tell when they're spending a lot on marketing. And ISS Vanguard, which is a 1 to 4 player campaign game, has definitely spent a good amount on marketing. So it's not surprising to me that people are, sometimes voting, especially in voting like this, is just a matter of people remembering a name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, you spend those marketing dollars to make that get them backers.
Yep. Oh, the new version of Kemet is coming out. People are excited about that. The second Nemesis Oath, of course, that we're looking forward to.
Backed that one late. Me and Christopher tried to. We sat down at our respective computers on Tabletop Simulator and did an overview of how to play the game, because that one I am very excited to play and very frightened to dedicate the time to learn. And my wife was asking me why Christopher wanted me to teach him how to play the game, and I said, well, because I'm the one that owns it eventually when it gets here. And it's the common practice that the person that owns the game needs to be the one that knows how to play it. She's like, that makes sense.
I thought you were going to say, what do you mean you own it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I definitely, after we talked to Colin, I was like, yo, honey. I know you're about to go to bed, but I'm going to late back this game after talking to this guy, because he pulled up the hype train and I got on. I'm not getting off till March or April when it ships.
So there's at least 2 Terraforming Mars things coming out this year, and I don't know if the card game is coming out. The other card game is coming out this year too. But they counted the big box, which is just finally like the 3D tiles that we talked about with
Mhm.
Mick, as a new release. I think that's kind of cheating. But then there's also going to be the dice game, which is
Ooh,
I don't know. That seems like that'll change it, but
I mean, Roll for the Galaxy is cool. I mean, I'm definitely putting Race for the Galaxy and Terraforming Mars into a box together because they're about space and they have cards. And now they're going to have dice variants.
yeah, I mean, making a dice variant doesn't seem like that hard of a thing to do, does it? It's almost like all the roll and writes that came out for every game. Maybe we'll also get a fourth version of Terraforming Mars, the roll and write.
I'd play. I need to play more Roll and Rights.
I like them more than I should. It's mainly because I can play them by myself, play them anytime solo, and they don't usually take that long. Um, the new Marvel Champions Galaxy's Most Wanted expansion does look pretty awesome. I'm just flipping through this list because there's hundreds of games on here.
I played the Marvel Champions. I liked it.
Um,
I'm like the worst board game ever. Craig Erickson, one time when we went to Gen Con, I asked him if he even liked gaming, and he said he liked hanging out with us. And it really warmed my heart. I'm feeling like that might be the case as we talk about all of these games that I am completely unaware of.
you can just throw your 2 cents in and look some up later.
I mean, if they're 2015 reprints, I could let you know what I think.
Well, you've played War of the Ring, right?
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the next expansion for that for a little while, and it's Kings of Middle Earth. It was supposed to, I think I pre-ordered that back in like April, May of last year because it was
Is that
supposed to be.
is that still Aries?
Yeah, it's still Aries, which of course they're so weird. Like they finally got rid of the Battlestar Galactica miniatures game, which I really wanted to succeed, but um, they just never put the. It didn't seem like they put a huge amount of marketing behind it. It was kind of like, here it is if you want to play. And then
Yeah.
last fall, it was just kind of like, we're dropping it. So, anyways,
I mean, that's
the
kind of a weird game to pick up. Like I know people that love. I like me literally Battlestar Galactica came up today in my house. Like
uh-huh.
I like Battlestar Galactica, but I mean I don't like it enough to play a miniatures game.
Well, that's the weird thing, right? Like all they had was like Cylons and the fighters, which is like that's not that interesting compared to X-wing and things like that. Or Wings of War and all those other flying miniature games. Like if you're gonna do it, why don't you produce a bunch of the different ships, all the crazy ships that people were on, from the rerun of the series. I do
Yeah.
love.
Let me get like a Secretary of Education / President of the World uh card for a ship.
Right? Like,
Gosh, she's good.
yeah. um, like if you're gonna go for it and make it crazy. But the Kings of Middle Earth one, and oh, this is a funny one too. Ginkopolis, which has a very storied past. People have been looking for that forever. They both got nominated for the repeat offender, which I think means that people were most anticipating them last year, but they they didn't come out on time. Ankh also got that nomination. So and Great Wall, which was a big Kickstarter, is still not out either. So
We got the COVID, and I give a lot of grace to people who want to make games because whoa, what an awful process.
yeah, that's totally possible. It's also possible that those companies just don't care and are taking their time, and
Yeah. I
who
mean,
knows.
there's like not caring, and then there's like caring too much where you're like, sending stuff back because you're like, this isn't what we agreed on for quality, so you need to rerun this, and then, you get ate up in all the details because you're trying to deliver the perfect product, and next thing you know, you're like a quarter behind schedule.
right, and twice as much in debt because it
Yeah.
costs you. Yeah. The big one that I was excited about that was winning a category. This is really dumb. This is not a big one. Is Flamme Rouge, the Grand Tour expansion for the original Flamme Rouge, which is a push your luck racing game for bicyclists in
I'll
the
have to
Tour
hit
de
up,
France.
I'll have to hit up Billy for that. He likes racing games, especially the more realistic ones.
It's
Or
not real. It,
one of my
it,
friends.
it's not realistic. It's just a push your luck little card game where you're in
Does
the
it
tour.
have how realistic? So it doesn't have like any steroid scandals or anything like that.
No, no, no.
No, yeah, no. I want more realism in my biking games.
I guess Frosthaven is winning the fantasy one. Okay, but let's see what else here. What else is winning? Darwin's Journey is winning the science category. ISS Vanguard is in sci-fi currently. Endless Winter is in historical, which that's the Paleoamericans one. That is. I don't know. I don't know how good that will be. That's. I know a lot of people are looking forward to it, but we'll see. I thought Carnegie would be doing better in that one. Carnegie looks pretty good, and a lot of people have talked about it. And there's definitely been a lot of marketing behind that one.
I mean, you're doing a lot of work to try to get good at it, so I can understand your investment on how well it does.
um, the in the trains category,
Oh,
when we have talked about because it's out of print and super expensive right now is getting a reprint as Ultimate Railroads. Ultimate Railroads is going to have Russian railroads in it. So for all those that have been looking for a reprint of Russian railroads, that one I think justifiably is one of the most anticipated train games. Um,
I'm hyped, dusting off the suspenders right now.
Yep, yep. I'm almost done with this. I don't know. Family and party doesn't look too exciting to me at this point. There's always surprises in that area. Oh, here. This is more for you and me, but winning the Grognard area of voting right now with 317 votes. Twilight Struggle, Red Sea Conflict, and the Horn of Africa.
Whiten my beard. I'm excited for it. That's the card game, right?
It is the
Yeah.
lunchtime Twilight Struggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Did you say Twilight Struggle's doing really good? Let me put my cheaters on.
and then uh, Darwin's Journey is also leading in the Euro, beating out Endless Winter and Carnegie. So I think we're gonna have to play some more Darwin's Journey before I get my copy because I think my initial gut feeling about it was it is a really good game, and
I enjoyed our playthrough.
yeah, we're gonna have to do that one.
I felt like we didn't move around. We spent a lot of time in the early island, but I felt like there was some dividends there. And since I did catch my major play mistake, I think that game was played without any cheats.
I think so. I think that's true.
First time this year.
Okay, so Paste last month had a 15 best board games of 2020 thing, and so I read it, and I thought I'd share some thoughts, just real quick on it. Their number one pick they shared in this article. So Paste it used to be like a primarily music and movies magazine in print, a few 100,000 subscribers, and then during like 2008 2009 when everything got weird,
The
they
paper crunch.
Yep, the paper crunch. They went to music, movies, TV, comedy, games, books, drinks, politics, Netflix, and Amazon. All types of reviews. But their number one pick for last year was Search for Planet X, which is you are kind of working together for part of the game as astronomers to find Planet X. You're using deductive reasoning skills, and part of the reason I brought this up, like I love that game. I think it's a lot of fun, but it is amazing to me to think that a deductive reasoning kind of semi co-op game would have been the number one pick to tell non gamers to try out. Um, it says a lot to me about how the gaming community and industry has changed in the last 10 years. That would be a good recommendation for non gamers.
When you say semi-cooperative, does that mean like towards the end you start beating people out so that you can be the one that discovers it?
There's only one winner. Only one person is going to get the most points by having discovered it and done the most discovery. I only use that term because for part of it, you're sharing some of the information. I guess shared information might be a better way to describe the game.
I'm really excited for it because I want to play that because it reminds me of a really good episode of Psych.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
There's just, Psych with Sean Spencer and Burton Guster. It was a USA TV show. It's on like it streams. But yeah, he's a psychic detective. Uh-huh. But he there's one of the episodes where they go, no spoilers on this almost 10-year-old TV show. It's one of my favorite television shows. But yeah, there's astronomers and one of them murders the other astronomer. But every time Burton Guster hits on the girl that works at the lab, he says, "Man, you hear about Pluto? Messed up."
Okay.
So I definitely will be role playing during that game.
Okay.
I like to, interject a little bit of side game when I play games.
And then their number 2 pick was Fort. If you remember me talking about that one, that was from later games too. Same artist who did Oath and Root and everything. But it was a reskin of a card game that was I think was enjoyable, but didn't sell that well. So again, interesting that they picked a game with a little bit heavier mechanics than they probably would have, even 4 or 5 years ago. And then third was Sonora, which is from Pandasaurus, which is one of my favorite publishing companies. They put out mostly family weight games, some heavier games, but Sonora is a flick and write, so kind of crokinole plus roll and write, and boys and I like playing it a lot. And I think the reason that they probably put that one out there is that one has fairly broad appeal and that it's very visually attractive to people, but I think what is odd is that it does again have a little bit more mechanics than even seriously even 5 years ago the games that people were recommending.
Settlers.
Yeah, like Settlers. I was it like 7 or 8 years ago there was that article in the New York Times about Settlers about how it was too difficult a game and it took 2 to 3 hours and all that stuff. So I think we've come a long way in just a few years as far as the appeal of games.
I still think that Settlers and Ticket to Ride are like the perfect games to get people into gaming. Mm-hmm. Mostly because they're also available at Target now.
Yeah.
Also like, hey, yeah, this one, check this one out. That was like my go-to when I worked in shops and stuff for like new people.
On that note, here's an article from Milwaukee Magazine, and their number one recommendation to get people into gaming over this winter is Settlers of Catan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I just don't trade. Never trade when I play Settlers. I either set up good and I win, or I set up bad and I lose, but I never trade. It's not a cooperative game. You don't get any of my goods. And I'll trade with you, but you're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah. Wheat for sheep? No. Yeah,
you can weep. You can weep for what you're not getting from me. As soon as you start trading, man, like, I don't know. Whenever I'm playing Settlers, I'm usually playing with like a mixed bag of players. You got like experienced players and new players, and like I'll trade with new players, but like experienced players, I'm not trading with you. You know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, and that can like a single card for people who really know what they're doing in Catan can make the difference between winning. And in tournaments, people get so upset because they can make their difference in their points. Okay.
I have heard of what's it called when you have somebody in a tournament with you that helps you win? Plants.
Oh yeah.
Plants. Yeah, there's a lot of accusations apparently in Catan tournament. Not a lot, but I have heard grumblings of accusations conversations at like Catan tournaments or sites where I was working, but I wasn't running the tournament.
Yeah.
And people are like, those people are suspect.
Sure, I will give you 3 sheep for 1 wheat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do these trades. And you're like, you guys rode together.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, that's the weird thing about like Catan tournaments, right? Like you can get ranked and then move on to things that have serious prizes. So
and these were qualifiers for
yeah,
the big ones.
Yeah. That list included like number 2 was Ticket to Ride and 3 was Splendor, 4 was Pandemic. So it was more similar to the ones we're used to from the past.
Splendor. One of the things we were going to talk about was games and narratives and stuff like that.
Yeah, go for it.
I sometimes I think about, so when Splendor came out, I was at a shop a lot because I worked there, and we played a lot of Splendor, moved a lot of Splendor. I mean, it's such an easy to pick up and play game, and I think I probably played it like 50 or 60 times before I realized it had a theme.
That's why I like the new Marvel one better. I just wish it were the same price because Asmodee has definitely already made their money 6 times over with the game. But the fact that the Marvel one, like you're actually trying to get the Infinity Gems, and it tells you that from the beginning, and you can kind of think about that as you're playing, makes more sense than the silly. What is he from Venice or something? The gem trader.
Yeah, I don't know.
Genoa. I
knew it involved gems.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is a mine. You're mining for these, and then you're trying to sell them to these benefactors. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it is one of the ugliest best-selling games ever. Is my feelings on the original Splendor.
Yeah, I mean, it's all gems and gaudy. I mean, they hit it on the nose.
Sure.
Like if that's what you're shooting for.
But the like the cards are just. I mean, there's so many cool Renaissance themed things with artwork and so many great artists, and I'm probably going to find out it's an artist I like elsewhere. But the artist isn't the only one that makes the decisions about what a design is going to look like. It's ultimately up to the company whether they approve the design or not, right? So,
I mean, like, and not to bag Splendor too much, but I mean, I played a lot of Splendor. I haven't played it in a long time. I don't know if I ever want to play it again because I'm like very burnt out on it. But there was a reason I played it so much.
Right. No. It's probably in my top 5 or 6 of like games that I've played more than any other.
Yeah.
Okay. This one from Wired has Jaipur and Pandemic, Dead of Winter, blah. Codenames, Duet, Ticket to Ride.
What year is that from?
So this is from this year, and they're talking about 10 of the best board games for 2 players because that's been a big thing this last year. Is you're stuck with your significant other or your roommate or.
I am playing Jaipur with my wife, man. She's brutal.
I love Jaipur.
Well, you should play it with Thea, man. She will crush you. She is it. I don't know. I played it with my buddy, and he gave me, I think, a first edition copy because he's just a sweet dude, Chris. Yeah. And he and me and Thea played it, and then like when I played him, he always beat me, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm really good at this game." And man, his girl doesn't want to play it with him, so I took it home. And then Thea beat me really bad. Then I took it back to the shop and then played him using Thea's strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, "What?"
That's awesome.
I'm like, "Yeah, this is what my wife does. She just like
she beats me at games. She teaches me how to be a man."
Yeah, she's just got this thing with card games, man, where she's like 4D chessing, and you're like, "We're playing Jaipur."
That's awesome. 7 Wonders Duel. That is one of my favorite ones to recommend to people for a 2-player.
Another game that my wife just dominates at.
I'm surprised that they didn't have.
I love 7 Wonders Duel.
Oh, but Azul's on here. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good list overall.
Azul is the tile. Is that tiles or tapestry?
Yeah, it's tiles in Portugal. There's 3 of them in the thing now, but the original one is still my favorite. So, and then here's an article from Inverse. We're just going through whatever's out here in the last couple weeks in board gaming stuff that's in front of people. 6 best space themed board games.
Sign me up.
Number 1. Do you want to guess what number 1 is?
Probably Twilight Imperium.
No.
Is it the Expanse? Because I really want to play that. I've heard all right things.
Yeah. No. Number 1 is Terraforming Mars, and that doesn't surprise me. We would go through like droughts of not selling any Terraforming Mars, and then all of a sudden, like people just come in and get it, and we'd sell it. Number 2 is Rebellion, Star Wars Rebellion, which I love.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Number 3 is Firefly.
Gotta play it with the expansions.
Galaxy Trucker. How do you feel about Galaxy Trucker?
I think I finally got to play that before the pandemic after years and years and years. I liked it.
Okay.
I have no recollection of what happened though.
I could honestly take it or leave Galaxy Trucker. I like a couple of his other games. He's got the one where you're like going through the dungeons. Oh gosh, now I'm gonna have to look it up.
Mage Wars, Mage Knight, Mage. Vlada Chivado?
Yeah, Vlada Chivado.
Did I just butcher his name? That's how I say it, but I've never said it on recording before.
I know, right? You read things, but you don't say them out loud.
Yeah.
That's how you know you've met a kid that has read a lot, is they pronounce everything wrong.
Hey, there goes the new word that describes that thing that I tell people when I say that, I don't hang out with people who use fancy words except for you.
Dungeon Lords.
Oh, Dungeon Lords.
Yeah. And of course he did Codenames and Through
Space
the Ages.
Or not Space Cadets, Space Alert.
Yeah, he did. Yep. Space Alert. Yep.
Yeah, Vlada Chivado is a person that, like, if somebody's like, hey, do you want to play this game? And I'm like, oh, that theme doesn't sound that great. You know, if it's something that I just despise, which there isn't a lot, and they're like, oh, it's Vlada Chivado. I'll be like, oh, yeah, put it on the table. Let's do this. I think the night we played Galaxy Trucker, we played like 2 games of Terraforming Mars before it with like the expansions. It was like a really long, it was like a 4 or 5 a.m. game night with some buds.
And then the last 2 that they threw on here were silly. Solar Quest. That doesn't belong with those other games. And then Catan Star Trek, which fine. I mean, I'd rather play that than regular Catan. But I mean, if I'm going to pick any of the Catans, it's going to be, gosh, I can't think of the name now. Starfarers of Catan. That's my favorite Catan.
I'm surprised Twilight Imperium wasn't on there. I guess I just hang out with people who have a lot more time and friends than whoever wrote that article.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Well, I mean, and that's what we're looking at, is just seeing what's out in front of people right now. So, thankfully, it was a better week. Today is January 26th as we record. It was a better week, I think, overall in the world of board games. At least on my Twitter feed it was, and I follow a lot of designers, and nobody was getting quite as upset with anybody else this week that I saw.
On Twitter,
yeah, I don't know.
NPR favorited one of my tweets once.
That's cool.
I think it might have been the DR show.
Also, shout out to Ryan Courtney, who watched unboxing for the channel on YouTube for his game, Curious Cargo, which is somewhere, it's over there on top of Time of Crisis. It's up there. I promise, it's right there.
I see it.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to play and record it and throw it on YouTube. Curious Cargo on TTS and throw it on YouTube. Keep it, because I like that game and he's a cool designer. So yeah. What do you got? Do you have a favorite game in back of you there today? What do you got there?
I just have the small box colossal small box games collection by John Cloudus. I just really like this. I've had some of these up here before. I just like this. The whole what he's been doing lately is he's been doing like small batch games, and then sometimes I miss them. But I don't know if I've shown this one before. But Sandstone he did a couple of months ago, and he hand cast the tokens himself. So he only made, it's a limited edition run, and they're not like anything spectacular. He just made like some kind of mold, and then cast the tokens of different colors. But that's just like what I vibe on. Instead of, I understand people are going to make games. You got to make a buck, you know.
Sure.
The world we live in. But I really like supporting this guy's projects when I remember to, because he, it's just, I think it's all domestic made, little autographed card, and not that I have a problem supporting international communities, and it's labeled 31 of 100. Yeah, I just, you know, like it's just all him pretty much. I mean, I don't know that he could have like playtest crew, but yeah, he does stuff on Kickstarter, and then I think he's now just doing direct sales with like direct pre-orders and cutting out Kickstarter and kind of self-financing everything.
Yeah, and yeah, we don't have any sponsors, so not a sponsor, but
no, yeah, big fan.
Yeah, just fan. No, I think I've played Omen. I gotta look it up.
Yeah, Omen's been around for a while. I think it won a Origins Award. An interesting factoid, AJ, who was on our mini painting episode, actually the game before there's the game that came out that he brought up to the shop that was a small box game, and we played it, and I really liked it, and then I didn't realize it was the same guy. I discovered small box games independently and started backing his games. And I was like, yo, AJ, check this out. And he's like, oh yeah, I love that guy. And I'm like, oh, you played his stuff? And he was like, yeah, that game we played like 4 months ago was one of his. And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I played the Colossal publication version of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that box looks different, but I remember playing a game called Yeah.
So yeah, there was some stuff that happened. I don't know what happened, but he went in with the company for a while, and then he seems back. And I like this one. This is how some of them have been coming recently.
Oh, and I played Cartouche. Yeah.
And it doesn't look great on the shelf necessarily, but what
is that one?
It's the North, and I won't lie. I mean, we haven't played this one yet. I'm a bad
I haven't played that one.
I got this for my wife for her birthday because she likes card games. So, but yeah, it's just, I mean, this isn't an unboxing video, and I'm not set up to do it, but I just like how they're small boxes, you know, so I can have, you know, a lot of games without all the space.
Right.
You know, but James Ernst was like my hero when I first got into like board gaming, the creator of the game company.
Nice. Sorry, no,
I just don't. It's got a dirty word in it.
Oh,
we've already.
No, we can say it because it's not a dirty word. It's the name of his company. It's Cheap Ass Games. Yeah.
And his business model back in the day. This is something I've always enjoyed. You know, instead of just like, you know, I don't mind minis. I mean, I own a ton of minis, but you know, I'm fine with wooden tokens. I'm fine with, if I need extra meeples, man, I'll bust out Keyflower. That game's got like 100 meeples in it. You know?
Yeah. No, I was just looking through what John Cloudus had done because I know I'd played more of his games, and I definitely have played a few. I didn't realize how prolific he was. He has put out a ton of games.
Yeah, and some of them aren't like, I mean, like Sandstone was all right. It's an abstract, the one that I was just showing before the North. You know, they're not like life-changing games, but they're affordable. They're obviously passion projects, and that's the kind of stuff that I like to support. I mean, game of the year, me buying it or not, you know, like I love Scythe. Yeah. And I had a copy of Scythe. I've never played my copy of Scythe. And I've played Scythe a lot. You know, but so like I just don't buy them anymore. Like there's no reason for me to purchase the hotness. Right. You know, unless it's like Oath. You
I
know, but I
mean,
don't know a lot of people that are going to be like, let's get this to the table.
just me. I mean, and anymore, it's hard to get things to the table right now. So, um,
Like Darwin's Journey, like that's a game that like one person in your play group's got to back. But anything with like Pandasaurus or
right.
Stagmire, you know, the companies that are consistently in the top margins of like game of the year type stuff,
Yeah.
like I'll buy them if I don't think my friends are, you know.
Right. But not everybody in your group needs to have it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Um, I've always been of the mindset that if a game is a good game, then it's still going to be a good game 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and and then that goes with. I think Tom Vassell has amended this rule a couple times, but his rule is if a game is good enough, there's always going to be demand for that game to get reprinted, even if a person dies or the business goes out of business enough that that game will eventually get a second printing. And on that note, that's I think what is finally bringing back Ginkgopolis, despite the history and problems and everything there that have prevented it. Because that game was going for, let's see what's going on for right now. Gink, can I spell? I probably can't.
And I'll say that your point that Tom Vassell made isn't always true because there's a weird tool used to clean out rollers. And the guy who created
his point.
And the guy's kid refuses to make them anymore because I think he's got bad blood. This is a story from a sales rep.
Okay.
But if anybody's got any of those roller cleaner for 18-inch rollers, email Chris.
We just went totally different niche there. Okay.
No, it's just no. I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, if there's money to be made, people are going to do it.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule, but I think that it's still the case of those exceptions proving the rule. The fact that somebody would have to go out of their way to keep something from getting reprinted, probably most famously, Glory to Rome.
Or Dune.
Well, Dune's been reprinted now.
Yeah, but the family wouldn't let them touch it for years.
Is that why they did it? I thought it was the mess up with the old Avalon Hill. I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to read about it, but I thought it was the mess up with when Avalon Hill got bought out by Hasbro and everything.
Because my understanding was like FFG bought it and then bought the rights to the Dune game, but at that point, I heard, I'm probably wrong. I heard people, there's a couple of Tolkien estate and games, you know. That's why there's only like one Tolkien board game based off of the books and a ton based off the movie.
Yeah, sure. But the Tolkien estate has always been very, 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 very careful about what gets put out there. Yeah.
But they made the Hobbit movies.
Oh, I watched. Did I tell you we watched through those again? I watched through those three with the boys because we had played that game, Hobbit Unexpected Party, and they loved it. We played it a couple times, and they were like, "Can we watch the movie?" And this is when my father-in-law was in the hospital and stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, we can."
Yeah.
And so we watched like 10 hours of movies in 4 days.
And I love that. I heard there's a fan cut of the Hobbit movies. I think I want to watch that because I still haven't seen the third one. Because I watched the second one on my birthday when it came out, and then I almost left the theater. I was so mad.
I think that's the thing is that like going back and watching it now when I can be in my own house with my own snacks, not paying $15 for popcorn, but I can make for 50 cents for all three of us, and I can sit there on the couch and pause it and laugh and enjoy it. It makes
you don't do my boy Bomber like that. Okay, you don't put him in a barrel and turn him into like some
twirling axe,
Tolkien Iron Man, in a barrel, Mark I suit coming out, attacking like, no, you don't do that to Bomber. He drinks out of the creek in the the Mirkwood, and he falls asleep, and he's a dwarf. They're worthless. They're useless. That's the whole point of the story. The whole point of the Hobbit is just some dudes getting caught and getting hungry and getting saved, and then they're like, let me tell you a story about our adventure, and then they're like, that's a great story, let's hook you up with some gear, and then what do? They immediately lose everything and they get rescued. That's
Yeah.
story. They don't rescue themselves.
I do think that the part that's hardest to swallow is how seriously Thorin takes himself through those three movies. Like he's like, I am Thorin Oakenshield, and it's always very somber and serious, and like it made more sense in the cartoon when he had a white beard and he was old and he just basically almost dies of old age in the battle.
Yeah.
Than it does of like, I'm this amazing warrior who dies. Like,
Yeah, no, they were dirt farmers for 100 years before that.
yeah,
Like they were going out. They were day laborers, and then anyway, and that's why the Tolkien estate doesn't let us have nice board games based off the book.
The Unexpected Party is really fun for a little pick up and deliver game, and the boys had a lot of fun with the movies. I mean, Smaug is fun, and if you just laugh at the things and don't take it too seriously, those movies can be fun.
Tallulah was singing of her own accord. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates.
Yeah.
Because we watch the 77 cartoon pretty often.
Yeah.
So what were we talking about?
Ginkgopolis is finally coming back. I'm looking up what. This is amazing. Prices have dropped now that it's coming. I love seeing that happen.
Are you just like on eBay or BGG?
I'm on BGG market history. Like there's this direct line from like 200 plus to like we're down in the 60s and 50s, like, which is where it kind of should be because it's a fun game. Is it a $200 game? No, it never was.
Yeah. Let me qualify my earlier statement too about like I don't need to own multiple copies of games that everybody else already owns.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like me coming up with this idea on my own. That's like years of just owning games and not playing them and them being on my shelf and not having a lot of shelf space, and then like buying and selling and trading or giving away games, because I'm more than happy like to give away a game. I had the Call Before You Dig people out here, and I was talking to the guy that was marking my yard up for Gasline, and he told me him and his kids just got in a D&D. So I gave him the first edition book to Gaslands because he just started getting into that stuff, and I have the second ed book. I'm like, I could hold on to it and be like, how about the first ed book like the month it came out? Or I could like give it to this guy so him and his kids could like play Hot Wheels.
Right.
I just don't have the shelf space to have a whole bunch of games that I won't play. Right. I need to have a smaller shelf filled with games that I won't play instead of a very large shelf of a lot of games.
I mean, there are two games that I would probably own. Even if all my friends had them, because I like to be able to play them myself, and that's Azul and Sagrada. Because Azul, I feel like I could teach almost anybody. Same thing with Sagrada. If you're above the age of like 7 or 8, both of those games are easy to teach. I still have fun with them, even though I've played them a lot. And
also, those are smaller box games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no. I'm just saying, like, I think that again, though, that kind of is the exception that proves your rule. Like, because I'm of a similar mindset. If I'm never gonna play it, I don't really need to collect it just to collect it. Yeah, and that's why my collection is a little bit different than some other people. That I definitely have too many games. I have a couple hundred, but
you just stash them at your brother-in-law's house. That's what I do.
But it's I try to buy things that I think other people might not have, so that I can actually enjoy those games and play them. That's why I have the GMT games that I have, because when I get a chance to play them, I love playing those games, and not everybody is going to have those games around to play. So
And that's why there's a whole bunch, not a whole bunch, but there's extra GMT games at your brother-in-law's house because he's the only one that I have that would play it with me for the most part. So I'm like, hey,
yeah,
I think I literally traded Scythe off and some other games to get some GMT games at a con so that I could play with.
I totally would have done that. Like I play Scythe online. I'm by myself all the time when I'm bored between things. Like I have games that I save and I just reload it, on Steam. But I don't own a physical copy because I know enough people that own it that there's no real reason for me to own a physical copy. So yeah. Anything else you want to say about the gaming world and gaming news? I feel like we've had a great conversation, just you and I this week. It's nice to just talk with you about games again.
No, just if you can't get into the table now, anybody can use TTS, Tabletop Simulator. If I can use Tabletop Simulator, don't. If you're worried about your technological capabilities, you should be able to, because I can. There's a lot of hand holding for Christopher to get this podcast set up with me.
On that note, yeah, email me if you hear this and you're in another state or whatever and you need somebody to play with this. Email me at boardagaingames@gmail.com and we can find a way to connect with Tabletop Simulator. Ryan and I play on there, and he and I are looking for other people to play with sometimes. We also have a Discord that we just started, and we would love to connect and play some games. I just did Epidemicon, and I think that we're probably going to be doing some other online cons later this year, maybe in person if we can get the vaccine. But yeah, we do like playing with people. Like those experiences are why I play. I don't just play solo games. I do like
since Con's in October.
Yeah.
And Uncle Joe says everybody who wants the vaccine should be able to get it by spring, which is good because I was looking at 2023 with the with the rollout numbers. I was like, wow, it's going to be a long pandemic.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna take my headphones off for a second and grab something because I want to show you, Ryan, and then we'll end with that maybe.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
There's no I don't know what's happening. This is just a surprise for me, just as much as it is for you, dear listener. Ooh, it's a GMT game. I know that. I know it's a GMT game, but what GMT game is it? Is it New Command and Colors? It's got that red, but GMT just has that red everywhere. Yeah. Flash the box real fast, and I'll guess.
Flash the box real fast.
Yeah, real fast. Gandhi.
No.
Oh.
No, this is Time of Crisis, the Roman Empire in turmoil, 235 to 284 AD. It's a pretty easy game to learn. So I will be teaching it on TTS sometime because we can play up to 4 people. So that'd be a good one if anybody wants to join us for like a solid couple hours.
Yeah. Oh, when you were grabbing it, I immediately thought, did Christopher get a coin game? Is there a coin game in his house?
I do have 2 coin games in my house, but I need Lake of Fire at some point, I think. Wait, is that a coin? Lake of Fire.
Yeah, Lake of Fire's coin. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Good.
And then I really want to play Cuba Libre, though. That's the one I want to play.
Oh, that's right.
The easiest, most accessible one. But you drink some Cuba Libres, play some Cuba Libre.
I have to keep my eyes out. I like to buy used games, so I will keep my eyes out.
Yeah, that's how I got a lot of my games, was trading minis on Bartertown.
Yeah,
It used to be a good site. Anyway, well, I'll see you next week.
I will see you next week with our guest Patrick Rael. I don't know how. Again, I've read his last name. I haven't pronounced his last name with him, so
I have to finish his piece, which I'm excited to read. I've been reading it, so it'll be exciting.
Excellent, cool, good chat. I'll catch you later. See you, Ryan.
Bye.